Absolutely, time travel exists. They just have the perception wrong, just like the Bible, and just like cats having 9 lives. A cat doesn't die 9 times, but if you own a cat, you understand that if you allow it to let it outside, that cat will leave, and it would have 9 different relationships. It would have 9 different lives. It would have an owner down the street. It would have kittens down the other way. It would have 9 different existences, 9 different personalities, and this was the metaphor they said as far as cats have 9 lives, but we took it in the psychological way of thinking that you can kill a cat 9 times, or a cat falls out of a tree and lands on his feet. That must be one of his lives missing. It was the perception wrong, just like time travel. Now let me explain exactly what I mean. Powers Ultimate Families, how everybody doing out there? Kwofi here. Today was a magical day. Today we're talking about the sun opener, right? This is one of the top miracle plants. This is one of the most powerful herbs that I've run across, right? This is the sun opener. The botanical name is Hemiosaucifolia, right? It also could be found as Sinicuichi. Anytime you see the word sin in a word, you need to look it up. Anytime you see the word chi in the word, you need to look it up. Find out what they talking about. Find out what's going on, right? So this is what I'm bringing you. We're talking about the sun herb. We talk about the sun opener. This plant is so powerful and magical that they chased it down and they tried to ban it. This is one of the most rarest herbs that I ran across. And if you do find this herb, you probably get it from a real shaman. You probably get it from a real guru, right? If you can find the liquid extract online, you can find the dried herb on Amazon, but you cannot guarantee that those are not GMOs. You cannot guarantee that it's not selenium and lead inside the extracts. You cannot guarantee that it is not a genetically modified organism, right? So the reasons why this is so beneficial is because of the many different spiritual benefits it has, but also the human health benefits for the human anatomy it has, right? Now, this ancient herb have been used for thousands of years, but they have got aware of it around 1896, right? The alkaloid that's found inside of is a cryogene alkaloid. This cryogene is responsible for the cosmopolitan or the cosmopolitites organisms of the world. What a cosmopolitan is the sophisticated thought or the universal thought that everybody is part of a collective unit, that everybody is part of a collective class, and we are all part of the same universal net on a cosmo level, right? So this was before the hippie era that they was chasing down this herb. Even before they placed the war on cannabis, they was finding herbs like sun opener, and they was placing war on all of these medicinals, all of these different voodoo doctors and earth doctors, shamans and gurus, and chiropractic health organizations, right? Now, to get to these cosmopolitites, we're talking about a gram, right? We're talking about, we're talking about 25 grams or milliliters or more on a dosage level. Right? It's also a sedative. It's a sleep-inducing sedative. And we will speak about sleep more as we speak about this, but it's also sleep-inducing. It's also all over the world, found all over the world, but deeply in Mexico and Southern America is where you find this herb. And when you find it in the ancient times, 100 years or so, they was using it to cure things like syphilis and different things like that, right? Now, what makes it top of the health benefits for me and made it a miracle plant for me as far as health benefits is it being a vasodilatator, right? And people don't know what a vasodilatator is, right? It dilatates. It's in the word. This is going to widen the blood vessels. This is going to widen the arteries of the body. And why it's widening it, you get more blood flow, but more importantly, you get more oxygen in the body. So any herb that supports a higher oxygen level in the body is something that we need to look into, right? Anything that fights against the oxidative stress of the body, right? Now, it's also an anti-inflammatory as well that made it very abundant. It's a large, relaxed sensor that's inside of it, right? It's also a psychoactive substance as well, and we're going to speak about hallucinating and hallucinogens properties of the herb later. But it's also, this goes back to the sleep inducing, right? The relaxation of it, the inflammatory fights against muscle spasms, and other sore areas of the body, correct? Now, it's also great as far as being an anti-inflammatory and fighting against pain in the body. It's also great for people who have colic, people who deal with migraines, people who deal with headaches and different things like that. It's a primary somosensory functions of it, so it's helping different functions of the body. And I can go ahead and pull one of the blueprints up for you here, right? We're gonna, what it's doing, it's either targeting excuse me, I'm sorry. It's either targeting the left or right ventricles of the mind, the hypothalamus, or the thalamus of the mind, right? So that's what it's doing when it's inside of the pre-inflammatory sensory of the mind. It's helping brain activity. It's helping you think on a higher abundant level. It's helping the brain functions of the mind. It's helping data download, right? They say it have a communicative or a relationship base with the 33 vertebrae of the body, and it's helping your neocortex and also your pineal gland. This is the sun opener, the third eye, right? We start studying Ra, you start studying the sun, you start understanding exactly what they were trying to tell you, what is really opening, right? Because we all have the Son of Jesus. We all have the Son of God. We all are downloaded from the sun in the sky. And that's why when you sun gaze, you can unlock the third eye. And this helps. You understand what I'm saying here? When you look up the alkaloid of the cryogene that was making people cosmopolites, this was equal to the key of the key to secure happiness, right? This was putting you in a transcendental state of happiness. And this is why they was trying to target down these herbs, right? When you deal with the information or the history of St. Francis and you run into St. Francis, you run into a part of his life where he starts speaking about that he was having hallucinogens, right? He was dealing with hallucinogens. He was having these hallucinations. He was having these visions, these premonitions, so to speak, right? What was happening was he was probably dealing with the sun opener. Understand? So what was taking place when you deal with the sun opener is it has a substance called, or it places you in a trance, of hypnagogia. Hypnagogia is the thin line between when you are awake and when you are asleep, and you are in that middle droggy stage. This allows you to be in that stage while you are awake, right? So hypnagogia is how you start entering different realms, entering different dimensions, entering different so-called worlds or different folds of reality, right? Now, what is taking place here when we're talking about time travel is people always had the perception wrong. People always had the idea of it wrong. See, now when we're talking about time, we have to understand that there's multiple dimensions, multiple realms, if you believe in that type of thing, right? So people don't understand that. People think that it's a handful of dimensions, but that's false information. We cannot count it. We cannot measure it. It is multiple dimensions. But the highest one that we can counter past our 10%, right? We only use 10% of our brain capacity. So past our 10% is another dimension where you can access more of your brain capacity. And at this point in time, in that dimension, time is the only time in the present matter is the only time the present actually is of equivalency. That's why when we're here, we can't measure present time. We can't put our finger on it. Before we know it, the second is gone. Before we know it, the day is over, right? The only thing we can truly measure in this dimension is future as far as mental attraction and the past as far as memory recall. So when you're dealing with things like the sun opener and different things like DMT and different things like AOS, right? When you're dealing with these things, or ayahuasca, when you're dealing with these things, what's happening is you're astral projecting. You don't leave your body, right? But the vivid reality is so clear that it feels like you are in that time again, or in that time at the moment. See, with mental attraction and attracting the future, it happens every day. It happens on multiple different existences, right? So at this point in time, we start understanding that you travel, if you can think about, let's just say, the next 3 to 4 hours, you can think about what will possibly take place and get into a transcendental meditational mind frame and live in that future existence. This is what I'm going to do, A to B. And then the time come and you do it. You can't tell me that you didn't time travel previously, correct? So if you're dealing with past existences, past memories, and you can recall them vividly, right? That is a form of time travel. When you are dealing with the sun, or when you are dealing with the sun opener, what's going to happen is you're going to go through 3 stages. The 3 stages, the first stage is the hallucinogenic stage. This is when you're going to see things. You're going to hear people call your name. You're going to hear different conversations go on that's not around you, and different things like that. The next stage is, which is pretty cool, you go through a tenant vision stage. This tenant vision stage lasts up to 4 days. When I dealt with the herb and engaged in the herb, it didn't last that long, but I also didn't take as higher dosage as individuals who claim that they've seen tenant vision for up to 4 days as well. And sometimes it's yellow, sometimes it's blue. A lot of people have different recalls of what the vision and the tint color is, right? But after you get out of this tint, or while you're in this tint, you start getting powerful recalls of your memory. Your memory starts to re-jog. You start recalling things from very small ages. Some people even recall things from past lives. Some people even recall things that's happened in certain dimensions at this moment. A different spiritual molecule-based information, right? And this is the data being downloaded, because we can't counter or measure what exactly is taking place in these different dimensions. But what we can do is recall certain histories and try to map out or mentally attract certain futures, right? That's the only fold of it that we have. But the sun opener allows you to have these benefits at your hands. And this is why the plant is so beneficial. This is why the plant was targeted down just like cannabis was. This is why the plant is so rare to find these days. And if you do find it, like I say, you have to find a shaman that truly has it, that's not a GMO, who grows it themselves, or you have to, deal with the GMO products as far as liquid extracts and dry herbs as far as being online. So this is the importance of having botanical science in the life. This is the importance of being, not just a vegan or a plant-based, but having the herbiology information, having the knowledge or having the intelligence of botanical science, at the forefront of it, and knowing how to grow them, knowing how to deal with them, knowing the alchemy and the chemistry of it. So this is the importance of it, of being able to change our existence, being able to change our lives and our future outcomes, if we are speaking about mental attraction, time travel, and astral projection. So, it's kind of irrelevant to say whether we need it or not, because these type of benefits are abundant as far as transforming and evolving not only thyself, but the whole universe as a whole collective. So, power is ultimate.